Hello, good morning, everybody. Coming in here, like coming in hot. Been running all over all day today in town and all kinds of errands and all that stuff. So I'm quite more relaxed than on Sunday as we were coming out of that. I'm calling it a contraction, and these energies are so intense. I haven't looked at the Schumann today, but the energies have, like, when they're really intense, they're either really intense to contract us, which is what kind of squeezes out the density, and it's super quiet, and squeeze out the density, gives us those opportunities to purge. And those last few days over the weekend was, I think we were all kind of talking about it and experiencing it in how I just kind of jumped right in, but that's kind of how I'm like the energy of today and hurrying up and getting back. So why I'm a little bit frenetic at the moment. But those contractions lasted many, a couple of days, and now there's the moment where we can expand, and we have integrated some of the lessons, the clarity. We're making sense of those contractions, because when the contractions come in, it just means that right before them we had an expansive influx of light that lights up new data, new insights, new knowledge within us. And then before we can really unload and download those and have a deeper understanding, we have to contract to get all of the darkness that was lit up. So now I feel like we are in a moment of breath, and it's the holy breath. For those of you who may have seen Patricia Cota Robles's, let me turn my heater off, the Patricia Cota Robles's vlog from last week about the 12/12 portal and how it's an extremely holy day. It opens up the divine feminine, and the divine feminine energy is now moving through us. It softens us. It makes us a little gentler, and I feel that so palpably. There's a softening now. There's a breathing space. So now we can breathe into new insights, new wisdom that is now readily available for us to be quiet with. I wasn't quiet today, as I mentioned, but yesterday on the 12th, I was. The 12th is an extremely holy day. And I found something that I want to read to you all because I think it's so beautiful. But as I was very, very intentional with the 12th, the 12/12 portal, the opening. That's when um, the cosmic energies open up for us to bring in this new consciousness. And for those of you who've been with me on this whole journey since November 11th, we've been talking about the tsunami of energy. And up until the 12th, roughly around this time, now I'm getting hot. Up until the 12th, we have been kind of riding. Hi, Kat. Hi, Jessica. We've been riding like the intensity of the wave. So if you think of if you've ever watched any surfing at all, but otherwise you know what I'm talking about. Those first few seconds, and you're paddling in, and you're riding the wave. You're coming down the crest of the wave. That's like the most exhilarating and the most, the scariest part. If you fall, you're going underneath and you're going to get tumbled. If you stay on top, you're just, you're like your whole, being is just in the woohoo. And that's how we've been riding this wave since the 11th. This is the phase. Now we're in the last 9-10 days before the solstice on the 21st. And this is the part of the wave that after you've gone through the most intense part, you just kind of stand up and you ride it. And it's the peaceful part, it's the beautiful part, it's the celebration part when like the worst of it is over, and yet you're still riding that wave. So this is a very, very sacred time for us between yesterday, which was the 12th, through the 21st. And a few years ago, I read this article about the Festival of Light, and it's really the meaning, the true meaning of what the holidays have become. And we know now they've become very commercialized, and we've been kind of conditioned to be in the busyness of it, and all of the things, the commercialization of it, and we have gotten away from the true meaning of it. And this article I wrote, or not, I didn't write it. This article I read just opened my eyes to the sacredness of these holy days. And the holy days really start with the 12th and continue to the solstice, which is the festival. We are in the festival of light right now, which is why, excuse me, it's so important that we stay in the higher consciousness of this time. So yesterday, knowing what a holy day it was, I was very intentional with it. I stayed up all the way to 12 a.m. On the 12th, and I sat and did a power up prayer and then went to sleep. I woke up and I went for my walk with the dogs and sat up on my mountaintop spot, and just the sun was out at that point, and then it got all gray and cloudy later. But in that moment, I just sat and I soaked in the sun and did, some more power up prayers. And my power up prayers are all about setting the intention, giving the energy to this beautiful sacred time that I want to see in myself and see in the world. And the power up prayers of peace, or power up prayers of, of all the new, the heaven on earth qualities that the pioneers are setting for ourselves and for humanity and for this planet. All of the qualities of source consciousness. My power up prayers were about peace, and seeing peace, feeling peace, joy, abundance, prosperity, beauty. Everywhere I look, allow me to see beauty, allow me the eyes to see beauty. And it wasn't for specifics. And later in the day at 12:12 p.m., I did the same thing. And in the early afternoon, I was so like worn out from like these power up prayers and all of the energy and being able to breathe again after the contraction for a couple days. And yesterday was just so peaceful that I laid down and took a nap, and the dogs were even just so calm and so peaceful. And Priya, my big dog, was laying at my feet. And as I started to fall asleep, I could feel this pulsing in my body. Now I've talked about, the kind of like these surges. It was different than that. So just bear with me, because it gets to the message for today about being primed. But it was kind of more like a I don't know how to explain it, but it was more like a very like woo, woo, woo. And it was a very gentle but noticeable pulsing of energy. And the interesting thing was, Priya was at my feet, as I said, and she was she was actively dreaming, but she was also like as her body, not really twitched, but she was pulsing almost at the same rate as I was, the same cadence as I was. And I was so fascinated. I was sleeping, but I was still aware of it. And I got the message, the physical realm is being primed. And I didn't really understand what that meant, but it was interesting enough, and it was clear enough for me to pay attention to. So I just sat with it, and I posted about that in Storehouse Social too. And I said, I'll figure out, I'll understand eventually. And sure enough, it did come to me. So I want to share that with you. But first, I want to read. So, yes, as I was talking about the Festival of Lights in that article I read, I have no idea. You know how we all, we go down different rabbit holes. I couldn't even tell you where I saw that article, but it was really lengthy. I do remember that. But I saw something on Instagram yesterday that I wanted to read because it really brought together what is happening now. And I think it's so interesting. And I will post this in Storehouse Social as well. Y'all, I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm feeling this. It's not a resistance. I'm feeling like a disassociation with tradition, like with Instagram. I hardly ever do Telegram anymore because it's just, I don't know. There's not very many people there and I'm not called to. So Instagram's kind of like the last place that I'm existing in that world. And I'm just feeling like there's no connection for me there. There's more of a connection in Storehouse Social. So I will post this in there so you can see it because it also shows kind of the lining up of the cosmos of the stars right now, which goes along with what I'm going to read to you. So this is what's happening, okay? So listen, listen closely if you want. So it says the 1212 through the 1221 portal. The flesh temple has been preparing for the secretion of the sacred nectar, the Christ oil, to awaken the 33 vertebrae of the spine to our new earth chakra system. From the 1122, so the 22nd of November, to the 1221 portal. The pineal gland, which is symbolized as the milk or Joseph, it's bringing in the, kind of the connection with the Christmas story that we've all, many of us, I shouldn't say all of us, have grown up with, but we're familiar with, okay? So the pineal gland, symbolized by the milk or Joseph, and the pituitary gland, the honey, which is representative of Mary, the divine feminine, are releasing the milk and honey through the colostrum, Santa Claus, into our chakra system, activating our new earth chakra system to fully function. So remember, the 12 power centers are now in activated, and they are connected. So all of this is coming together, and we've already talked about this, but I think this summarizes it so beautifully and gives it the symbolism. The cerebral spinal fluid runs down the 33 vertebrae to the tailbone, where the manger is, and the sacred nectar rests for 2.5 days. Then rebirth happens, returning the sacred nectar back up to the cerebellum, to the causal chakra at the base of the skull. The Kundalini awakening is bringing us enlightenment through 5D Christ consciousness, delivering us from evil. Okay, so purging out all of, the evil is just the darkness. It's just the toxic thoughts, the toxic energies, all the densities we've been talking about. It's not like evil, it's just dark. A collective group that have been chosen through their acts by source are receiving this upgrade into the higher consciousness through this portal gateway. This hold on, sorry, I can't, it's kind of small, so it's hard for me. This rebirth, which happens right after the solstice, with the birth of the sun corresponding with Orion's belt, the three kings, rising from the Southern Cross, the crucifixion, December 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. The veils of separation have dissipated, and the pineal gland has been cleansed and healed, enough for us to achieve this solar solstice upgrade into God consciousness. We are collectively rising up with the enlightenment process, with earth into new heaven, new earth, and new Jerusalem to receive our wings to fly. I thought this was so beautiful. And this is by someone named Carolyn Hush. Sorry, I can't read it entirely, but I'll put her name in here, of course. But I thought this was such a beautiful way of bringing together this sacred time that we are in. So not only are we kind of riding this wave out now, we are preparing, we are being prepared. And what I mean by that is everything we read here. There's a lot that's going on now. Our bodies are starting to be primed to rise again, to ascend. Okay, so this goes into the primed message that I got. We've been talking for a year now, either through daily tune-ins or the peace talks, about how our, spiritually we are becoming more aligned. The poles have switched, and they're continuing to switch. We are now operating more from the spiritual nature of who we are. Our mental strata has been scrubbed, it's been cleansed. The subconscious is now coming back into alignment. So we're not operating from the ego self. We are now, or the ego mind that has been scrubbed. So the mind is now coming into a more sacred program. Our emotional strata has been cleansed and cleared through the work that you all been doing by just being aware of your emotions, by being aware of, the consciousness of it, cleansing and clearing. And the last part has been the physical. The physical realm of us has also been cleansed and cleared. And it has been shifting from the carbon based to the crystalline based makeup for so that we can operate in these higher frequencies, because we were too dense as carbon based beings. So when I got the message about being primed and just kind of feeling this just pulsing again, it wasn't uncomfortable. It was noticeable, but it wasn't uncomfortable. And so then I looked at the definition of primed, and oops, that's not it. There's all kinds of different definitions, but this one really stuck out to me. Oh, hopefully it'll be here. Okay, give me 1 second. I had it all set up, but it's disappeared and gone up to the top. Okay. So to prepare for firing, to prepare for ignition. So I thought that was really interesting because it was really in tuned with the ignition of our ascension journey, of a pretty large jump in consciousness. So all of this so I just threw a lot of stuff at you. But if we bring it all together, our bodies are the last part to come into balance, into resonance, into alignment with all of the work we've done so far, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And now our bodies are being primed and pulsed into the pulsation and into calibration with all of our parts. Everything is being unified right now. In these holy days, the holy days are, from here to the solstice. The solstice is the festival of light. It is the day that we celebrate light. We celebrate consciousness. So if we are in alignment and we are paying attention to being primed, we will allow ourselves to be in loving compassion over these next 10 days, the final parts of this tidal wave that we have been consciously navigating since the November 11th portal opening. And now that was an opening, and then the 12/12 portal opened it even more. So we're getting even more light coming in the form of energy that is now calibrating us. All as I read, there's a lot that's going on in consciousness and balancing out both the Christ consciousness and bringing it into our bodies, going down the vertebrae, down that the spinal center is also the spiritual center, from obviously from our crown chakra, the ganglionic center, which is back in the back of our skull, going all the way down. The kundalini's coming back up. So there's going to be a lot of balancing out in a more intense way than ever before, because we are being primed for that moment in time when we hear those higher tonal frequencies that expand us wide open. So I would love to encourage you and myself to be in the conscious navigation of these last few days of these 40 days that we've been in together. This is the time when it's the quiet. This is the time when we are being prepared. We are being primed. All parts of us are being kind of put um, into a calibration state. We're being balanced out. We're being given light. We're being given time to simply sit in the silence. And I know again, this is a time when most people are super busy. And I don't think that that's by mistake. I think we have been conditioned to be extremely busy so that we aren't conscious of what's really happening within. But there's no more important of a time for us to be in this space in loving compassion for ourselves so that we can listen, and when we can be with these contractions and in the expansive moments like that's happening now. The Schumann's quiet. This is a time for us to breathe, and as we breathe our holy breath, we are inviting in the opening up of the new information that has been opened up by these contractions. We are inviting in the calibration, the balancing out. We are the ones, when it says the chosen ones, every human is chosen, but not every human chooses it. But we have chosen it by being on this sacred journey, and we are aware of the sacredness of what is happening on our planet at the moment. And we are now becoming more aware of how sacred this time is that we are in. We are about to be risen again. We are about to be ascended into heaven. And this is the time that we have to give of ourselves to be quiet and to receive all of the last minute things, information, feelings, purgings, new insights. This is when we bring in these messages, not bring in, this is when we awaken the messages within that are directing us. Because as the pioneers of this ascension process, because we are fully, I don't know if we're fully aware, I think we're becoming fully aware, and we are being primed to be fully aware. And when that moment comes, we are pretty aware, but when that moment comes and the awareness expands, we've already talked about this, I think, on the last one, it's going to be an intense process for us to be in. And we will be expecting it, we will be prepared for it, and it's still going to be extremely intense, even for us. But then we will be the ones that will filter down the messages to others, that it is okay, that it is a beautiful process that's happening. And we will be the ones directing our crew, our people, in directing and navigating them through that massive expansion that will happen, that will take place. Again, I'm not here to say it's gonna be soon. I don't know. I think it could be any minute now. But I'm also not here to say it could be a year from now, it could be 2 years from now. But for those of us that are receiving these messages, they seem to get deeper and more intense. Intense, not like intense, but like listen. You have to listen here. This is how it feels when I get these messages that come in. They feel more, there's a word that I'm looking for. They feel more potent, but also like, oh, what's that word? They just feel very important to pay attention to. And it gives me the sense that this moment in time is closer than than a year, than, in 6 months. It feels close. But so that is why I am in giving so much of my energy towards being very intentional, especially during these sacred days and these holy days. So no matter where you are and what is being called forth and asked of you in these next 10 days, be very intentional with what you say yes to. Be very intentional about busyness versus saying no, and being lovingly compassionate to you, because remember, this month of the jubilee year is devoted to loving compassion, and we've been exploring all the different ways that has meaning to us. And loving compassion is now seeing these 10 days as deeply sacred days to spend with self, to allow yourself to be primed, to be readied, to be filled with with light, with higher consciousness, and with just simply being with yourself as much as you can. So it could be challenging for some if you're still kind of in the world of the holidays, but these are our holy days. These are our spiritual holy days, because so much is happening to upgrade us, to activate us, to get us all connected in. And now our physical bodies are being primed as well. And that's the last, to me, how I interpret that is that's the last part of us that comes into consciousness, into the attention of aligning with us spiritually, mentally, and physically, or emotionally. And that's been the big focus since I've been doing these for the last year, a little over a year. These particular topics around ascension, though, we've really been focused on the spiritual nature of us, the mental and emotional. And yes, we've had physical symptoms, and that's just all the different purgings. But now the physical body is being readied. So that tells me that there is a moment in time that it feels closer than I've ever felt it feeling. We've been preparing for it, but because the physical body the message is the physical body is being primed and readied. This is making me kind of put my radar up and say, I better pay attention to this. These holy days are very important, because all of it's the multidimensional being now is almost fully complete and calibrated and integrated and unified. And when that happens, then our whole reality changes. Everything changes. Our consciousness is aligned and one with source consciousness. And that is what happened when Jesus died and ascended into heaven. But we are doing this differently, because at that time Jesus the body could not ascend. But we know that these frequencies of these fifth dimensional frequencies have been flooding in to prepare us to have also ascend into those higher dimensional, the vibrations of frequencies. So something feels very important to be very sacred and intentional in these next few days. Okay, so let's see what y'all are saying. Oh, okay. Holy cell fam. I just breathed on my glasses and they're all foggy. Kat says, thanks, Vedette, for this confirmation. I'm working through such a huge message this year to stop the traditions of the past and scale down on the busyness to be in peace. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. Brenda says, I needed to hear this. As a mama with Santa age kids, I get sucked back into the busy part of the season. Yeah, like I was reading something and someone was asking the question of like, how do we navigate this when like the whole world is like Santa Claus and all the things, and with kids, and like, and that's always something I've not struggled with, but I've worked on over the years with my kids. But my kids are older now, so Brenda, that is like that. That's a whole different level of working through this season. So that that's a intuitive, heartfelt navigation. That's just listening and what's right. and how you navigate it, because it's a stronghold. The inverted matrix has done a really good job at anchoring us into this tradition. And yet this tradition has taken us so far away from the true meaning, which the actual meaning of this, the actual history of this, is the festival of light. And it's a season, and it starts on the 12th of December and goes to the 21st. And then we have the 2.5 days of rest that takes us into the 23rd and 24th. And then we are reborn again. So, like the shift, it took us out of the celebration to after what was supposed to, like, what is the actual holy days, and the holidays became, let's put all the attention on all this stuff after the sacred stuff's really over, the underlying truth of it. So we are aligned with truth. So I believe, what's coming to me, Brenna, just in this moment, is if you give yourself loving compassion to be in the holiness of now to the 21st, and have that be what fills you, you can, then you decide, then afterwards you celebrate with your kids in whatever way that you decide to celebrate. But this is our time. This is our time, the chosen ones. And I'm not saying like we're so special, because everybody is welcome. And every single power up prayer that I ever say, I always include all of humanity. I am presence, and I connect with the I am presence of every man, woman, and child. Anything that I pray from here on out, any intentional words that I give, I also give to all of these I am presences, and they get to choose it. So for every one of us, I am praying for the holiness of all of humanity to choose to be chosen, and to choose to have this time be holy. And then we can celebrate and do all of the other things if we decide to do that. So take this message into your heart. I will post that thing that I read, because it was such a beautiful summation of what is happening. And I think it's really important to kind of have the visual of it too. So let's see. Kat says, my blessing is my 12-year-old just discovered the truth about Santa. It's perfect time. We told ours that Santa is just a representative of the light, joy of the season. We don't do traditional Christmas or Thanksgiving. Sorry, my fingers are too big. My fingers are always too big, and making typos. Love that. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. My kids already know. And so it's easy, but you know what? When I'm reunited with my kids here in a couple of weeks, you know what? Yeah, we'll celebrate. And I've always, we've always called it quirky Christmas, because they were always with their dad for Christmas, because it's like, I was like, take Christmas. It's not my thing. So it took the pressure off of me to have to like check out of it. So I called it quirky Christmas, and we did our own. We had a big meal, and we just exchanged a couple gifts or whatever, but we never I didn't ever do the whole like really big, thing. That was never, didn't feel it. So, good luck with that, Brenna. Like it is a challenging thing to have to explain, and have to be not have to be, but being the parent that's different and approaches it all differently when, kids are going to school and they see what others are doing, and they're like, why aren't we doing this big thing? But that's what we're moving out of, like, as those who know that this is how we create a whole new world. We create new traditions, we create new holidays. And I told Bud, I did book a flight home, and I told him, I said, I just want to have a solstice feast when we get home. I just want to have my family around, and I want to have a feast together and have it be a celebration of the light, of the solstice light. So the celebration for us will be on the solstice. Whether it's not going to be a whole big deal. It's just going to be let's get together and eat and laugh and be a family together. So that is the message for today. I will tell you, I am wrapping up loose ends here in Saranda. I'm leaving to go back to the States next Monday. So I will be live on Thursday, but then after that, I will most likely take some time off, and I don't know if I'll be doing lives, maybe just kind of posting things. I'm not really sure yet, y'all. I don't know what I'll be called to do or what and how I'll be feeling about it, but there might be a pause for a little bit, but I will be in Storehouse Social. That's where I'm going to be sharing. I'm sharing less and less of my personal stuff on social media. I don't know why, but I'm just feeling disconnected, and where I don't feel connected, I'm not going to share myself. So I'm being more called to just share more personal stuff in Storehouse Social with us, with our community. So a solstice feast, yeah. I can't wait, y'all. I'm just so excited. It's going to be it's just going to be lighthearted, like just being with my family, and then seeing my boys when they do make it up to Northern California. I just want to be in that love. Like it's going to be love and celebration for us is going to be outside and hiking and goofing off like we have always done. So it's not, it's not wrapped up around all of the stuff. So that is it for today. Thanks for letting me be a little bit frenetic when I came in here. So much love to you all. If I think all of you are in Storehouse Social already, but if you're not and you're watching this on the recording, please join me. It's a free space, but it's a private space so that we can truly connect in a different way. It's my goal. It's my want. It's my desire. So just shoot me a message and I'll send you the link to join us. Okay. Thanks so much, y'all. See you on Thursday. Have a good one. Mwah. Love you all.